The morning sun rose gently over the mountains. Birds sang among the trees as a cool breeze drifted through the quiet forest. Beneath a great Bodhi tree, the Buddha sat peacefully, surrounded by his disciples and villagers who had come from far away to hear his words of wisdom. But not everyone came seeking peace. Along a dusty road, a man walked with anger burning inside him. His fists were clenched, his face was tense, and he had made up his mind to challenge the Buddha before everyone. By midday, the man reached the gathering. Hundreds of people sat in complete silence beneath the trees. Without warning, he stepped forward and shouted, "So, you call yourself a wise man?" The man mocked the Buddha with harsh words. He laughed at his followers and insulted everything they believed. The disciples grew angry, but the Buddha remained perfectly calm. His face showed no fear, no anger, only compassion. The shouting continued until the man finally became exhausted. He had expected an argument, but instead, he was met with complete silence. Confused, he stared at the Buddha, waiting for a response. The Buddha smiled gently and asked, "My friend, if someone offers another person a gift, and that gift is refused, to whom does the gift belong?" The angry man answered without hesitation, "It still belongs to the one who offered it." The Buddha simply nodded and smiled. The Buddha looked at the man with gentle eyes and said, "In the same way, when you offer anger, hatred, or insults, they remain with you if they are not accepted." A deep silence settled over the gathering. The disciples lowered their heads, and the villagers watched in amazement. No one had ever answered anger with such calm wisdom. The man's anger slowly faded. For the first time, he realized that all his shouting had only weighed down his own heart. The Buddha had carried none of it. His shoulders relaxed, and his eyes filled with regret. The pride that had driven him there began to disappear, replaced by humility and a desire to understand. Overcome with emotion, the man knelt before the Buddha and said, "Please forgive me. I came here to insult you, but instead, you have taught me one of life's greatest lessons." The Buddha smiled warmly and replied, "There is nothing to forgive. The moment you understood your anger, you began to free yourself from it." The crowd watched in silence, witnessing the power of compassion over hatred. The Buddha looked gently at the man and then turned to the crowd. "Many people believe that strength comes from defeating others," he said, "but the greatest victory is the one you achieve over your own anger, pride, and fear. A person who conquers thousands in battle may be called a warrior, but the one who conquers himself is far greater." Tears filled the man's eyes as every word sank into his heart. He realized that for years, anger had controlled his life. It had stolen his peace, damaged his relationships, and blinded him to kindness. For the first time, he understood that his greatest enemy had never been another person. It had always been the anger within himself. The entire gathering sat in complete silence. The disciples listened with deep respect, while the villagers reflected on their own lives. Some remembered arguments they wished they had never started. Others thought about harsh words they could never take back. The Buddha's lesson was no longer meant for one angry man. It had become a lesson for everyone present. The man gently wiped away his tears. The anger that had once burned inside him had been replaced with peace. His face, once filled with hatred and pride, now showed humility and gratitude. In that quiet moment, everyone could see that a human heart had truly begun to change. Before leaving, the Buddha spoke one final time to everyone gathered beneath the great tree. "Never allow another person's anger to become your own," he said. "When you answer hatred with hatred, it only grows stronger. But when you answer hatred with wisdom and compassion, you break the cycle and bring peace into the world." The crowd bowed their heads, knowing they had witnessed a lesson they would never forget. As the gathering came to an end, the man walked beside the Buddha through the peaceful forest. They spoke quietly, while the disciples followed behind. The same road he had walked with rage only hours before now felt completely different. His burden had grown lighter, and every step reminded him that peace begins with the choices we make each day. When he returned to his village, everyone noticed the difference. The man who had once been feared for his temper was now known for his patience and compassion. Neighbors greeted him with smiles, children ran happily to welcome him, and families spoke of the remarkable change they had witnessed. His transformation reminded them all that no one is trapped by their past. Every person has the power to choose a better path. As evening settled over the valley, the man sat quietly beside a peaceful river. The rushing water reminded him how life never stands still. He thought about the anger that had once ruled his heart, and how a few simple words from the Buddha had changed everything. For the first time in many years, he felt no hatred, no bitterness, and no desire for revenge. In the silence, he discovered something far more valuable than victory over others. He had finally found peace within himself. A few days later, while traveling along a forest path, the man met a stranger, overcome with anger. The traveler shouted, pointed his finger, and expected another argument. But instead of reacting, the man remained calm. He listened patiently and answered with kindness. Slowly, the traveler's voice softened, and the anger that had filled the air began to disappear. In that moment, the man realized that true wisdom is not measured by what we know, but by how we choose to act when life tests us. From a quiet hill overlooking the village, the Buddha watched without saying a word. He saw the man offering kindness where he once offered anger, bringing peace where there had once been conflict. The Buddha smiled gently, knowing that the greatest victory is never over another person, it is the victory over our own pride, fear, and anger. One transformed heart can inspire countless others to change. Just as a lotus flower rises from muddy water to bloom in perfect beauty, every human heart has the ability to rise above pain, resentment, and hatred. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. The moment we stop carrying the weight of anger is the moment we begin to experience true freedom. Peace is not found in changing the world around us. It begins by changing ourselves. The next time someone offers you anger, insults, or hatred, remember the lesson of the Buddha and the angry man. You do not have to accept every gift that is placed before you. Sometimes, the strongest response is silence. Sometimes, the wisest response is compassion. And sometimes, the greatest act of courage is choosing peace when the world expects anger. If this story touched your heart, let its message live through your actions. Share it with someone who needs this reminder today.